Hey everybody, welcome back. So I have my trapper license, mostly because I want to be able to deal with nuisance animals. So we do have a chicken coop. With our chickens, we do have raccoons oftentimes trying to get into the chicken coops. As a result, that's part of the reason why I want to get my trapping license. So this is one of the raccoons that are trying to get into our chicken coop and eat all of our chickens. Now with that, I do believe that we should try and use as much of any resources we can. Because I trapped it, I do want to try and harvest the pelt for that. And I can sell that pelt as well, since I am legally able to trap animals and part of the fur harvesters as well. I have my raccoon here. The first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to brush that raccoon. So we'll just pick it up and we'll give that a nice brush. What this is going to do, it's going to get rid of any loose hairs. Make sure our hairs all go in the same direction really nicely. Already looking a lot nicer right now, just from that quick brush. And give the stomach a nice brush there too. As you can see, we got quite a bit of hair off that already. Now guys, fur harvesting is relatively new to me. If you guys know things that I can be doing differently, doing better, please leave that down in the comments. So what I found so far is one of the best knives to use to do this is I have a little scalpel knife. This has really worked great. I want to cut along right here all the way down to the bum. And where you want to make that incision is right along this line right here, where there's that natural seam, and then we'll cut along there. We'll do the same thing on the other side. We'll cut down. I'll cut through the tail. After, I'm going to have to build a tail stripper. I've tried doing it without a tail stripper before, and all I've done is rip part of the tail off, so I don't want to do that. We'll make our first incision. It's not a deep incision at all that you want to make. You just want to follow that line. And you're really just trying to cut just through the fur itself and through that layer of skin. You don't want to be cutting down into the muscle. There we go. So that's one side done. We'll do the exact same thing on the other. Just give you a little bit a different angle there. So you can see we have that natural line going right here, and that's where we're going to want to cut down. Once we have those two cuts open up, what we're going to want to do is loosen up the fur all the way around. So we'll use our knife to cut through part of that, and then we're going to start to pull it. And while you're doing this, you want to cut away from the fur. I'm not perfect at this right now. Just keep in mind what we want to do is we always want to cut towards the meat and away from the fur. You can see that as I make those incisions, I'm just making small, light little incisions, and then that just letting go. And now I'm going a little slower, just trying to keep everything in frame. I'm on my phone and I can't see my screen right now, so I'm doing my best that I can to kind of keep that in frame. And every once in a while, I'm just checking to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. You can see that we got a nice chunk of the hide off right now. We got a nice chunk of the fur off right now. Now that we got a nice piece of material to grab onto, we can stick our thumbs in there, kind of start to pull that a little bit. Now at this point, you can see I got a little bit of flesh still attached there, so we'll cut that off. You can see all I'm doing is just loosening that off. I'm just being careful to make sure I'm cutting away from the fur. because that's the resource that we most want to save on this. Cut it there just a little bit. And right about there, I'm just going to cut through the fur and leave his foot on. You can also cut the foot off. We got that whole leg all freed up now. That's going to make it a lot easier for us. So we can just put our fingers in, push down with our fingers. As you can see, as I push, I'm separating the fur right off. We're going to just open up around the belly a little more. With that, something we want to be careful we don't do is actually rupture the intestines. It's going to make a nice smell if we do. Looking at the raccoon, we can tell he's male. We have his testy and his penis right here. Just going to work on loosening up that other leg now. I want to keep just cutting towards the flesh. On that initial cut, you can see I cut into the meat just a little bit. I don't quite have enough yet that I can get my fingers in there. See if I got my thumb through. That makes it a lot easier here. And we'll cut the fur off the foot. All right, we got a big chunk of flesh there. I'm just going to pull that off. There we go. We got both legs freed up. Like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the tail right here. I'll cut through that bone after. And then I'm going to make a tail stripper, and I'm going to strip that out. Get our hands in there again, and we're just going to put our hands in between the fur and the muscle, and we're just going to pull it apart. Just don't be afraid to get your hands in there. I'm going to loosen the belly up a little more. We're just going to keep working our fingers in and pulling it apart. And we can do this pretty much until we hit the shoulders without using a knife at all. make a little bit of an incision down the tail. You can see I got kind of all the way around the tail loose right now. The rest of that I'm going to make a tail stripper to strip off. There's enough that I can kind of hang on to there now. It also makes it a little easier for me to finish up here. The armpits here, once we get to the armpits, we're going to need to do a little more cutting. So right here, you can see I got the arm. Just gonna push that through as much as we can. I might just separate right here to make it a little easier. Once again, we're just going to make small little cuts, and we're going away from the fur and towards the meat. Loosen this up with a scalpel a little. We're kind of at the forearm at this point. His paw's basically right there. So we're at the bend just before the elbow. You can see we're just pulling that off. Give that a nice hard pull, and we're pretty much at the paw right there. What we're doing is cutting through that little bit of skin there. We don't want to cut so deep that we're cutting into the bone. Anytime we're cutting the bone, that's going to dull our knife. We have that paw perfectly out. And then the same thing. We're just going to keep grabbing, sticking our hands in there as we go. We might need to make a few cuts. Do the other paw. Same thing, we're just going to keep pulling. Give that a nice yank. See right here we have the shoulder. We have the got a little nick with my knife when I was trying to get that little bit of fat off. What we'll do is once we've stretched it, we'll just give that a quick sew up. So we got that hole in between the bicep and the forearm. I'm just going to grab here, stick our thumb in, give it a nice hard pull. I'm pretty much at the paw right now. I want to just loosen it up just a little bit right here. Then we're just going to cut through the skin and just give it a quick little cut. You don't want to go very deep here. We don't really want to damage the fur at all. Today in New Brunswick is the first day of rifle season for deer, so I won't be surprised if we hear a shot today. I've already gotten my deer. I got it on opening day of bow season. So I have my skin downstairs and I'll take you through some of that process. I've also got some natural tannins ready to go into that. So I'm going to take it out of that pickle brine later today. And then we'll start tanning that hide. I've also gotten another hide as well from my uncle. My uncle just got his deer 2 days ago, I guess. So I helped him get that out and helped him a little bit with that. And he wasn't going to do anything with the hide. So I asked him if I could have it. So I have that sitting right beside me. Now with that hide, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something I haven't done before. I'm going to use a pressure washer to try and deflesh it. I've been using either a draw knife, an axe, or a knife to deflesh it. At this point, I just want to try that as something new where I've never tried that before. It is going to be quite messy doing that though. Now for my deer, what I've done is I've made a whole bunch of hamburger. I've made a few steaks, a few roasts. I made my own hamburger mold with my 3D printer. So that's got my name on it as well. And just a picture of a deer, and then I made a whole bunch of sausages. I've also signed up for the nuisance deer program as well. Now with that, you're able to get an extra deer or two, but you have to know someone that's their property is in that program. I don't know anyone that's on that program right now, so my name is on a list for that. So there's 3 different lists. There's one with the town of St. Stephen, so I'm registered for that one right now. There's also one for Rossay, Quispam, Hampton, so I'm going to try and get my name on that list later on today. So I'll get a hold of them for that. And there's another organization that you can get your name on their list. I've already emailed him just inquiring about that, but I got the away message, so at that point I contacted some of the towns as well. I'm not sure if they share the exact same list or if it's 3 separate lists. So how that works is if you are a property owner, you have to register with DNR saying, yes, I want my property to be able to be hunted. You can then select from that list. I don't know if you can select yourself as well, or a lot of people are going to be selecting people that they already know. So I don't have a whole lot of chance to get into that, but I figure my best option, if I want to participate, is to try and get in it, get my name on that list, kind of put it out there that I am interested in that. So if you guys know anyone that's in that program in any of the areas that have it, certainly have them get a hold of me and I'd be more than happy to participate with them. So you can see we're at the head right here. So the nose is right here. We're just right at the base of the neck. So we just want to keep freeing that up, making sure that we keep cutting away from the fur. To make it a little easier myself, I'm going to through the tail here. And all I did was just kind of look where the bone was, because I don't want to be cutting into the bone. So we got the tail separated. That's just going to make it that much a little bit easier. Now personally, I always find I have a little bit of trouble with the heads. It takes me a little longer than it should just to get around here typically. Right here is his esophagus. So we're basically at the bottom of the chin here right now. So we're going to flip the other side here once we hit the chin. So that'd be his ear. You can see we're just freeing up the lips. The same thing on the other side. Pretty much got her licked there now. Just a few more cuts. We can give her a little, pretty much down to the nose at this point. All we did was cut through the cartilage there. Last little bit's going to be the chin. Here we go. We have the hide off. We have a little bit of the tail still in. Like I said, I'm going to make a tail puller just for that. So I'm going to flip the other way. I'm going to give it another brush, and then, so as you can see, we have our ears. Ears look really nice. We have our eyes. We took those out, no problem at all. We have the nose. And like I said, I'm just going to make a better tail puller than what I have right now, so I can yank that out without damaging the tail at all. There we go. So he's all skinned out at this point. Alright, so that's pretty much everything for the day. If you've made it this far in the video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button.